Oh, it's live, House.
The following contest scheduled for one fall.
The cream of the crop. Nobody does it better.
You never came looking for me to prove that you're the baddest. So, I've come looking for you to prove you're not.
All over the country, people have been asking me, why, Eddie, why?
Week after week, trying to make me look like a jackass.
Lately, he just hasn't been very oozy. I'm home.
This ain't no disco. Ain't no country club either. This is the 3 Count Thursday podcast. So let's go, baby.
Chin up, tits out, and watch for the shoe.
Hello, everyone. Welcome live. It is Saturday night, July the 6th, and business doesn't stop just because people have birthdays. And yeah, we are here. A little different. Don't adjust your screens. We are actually here. That floating hand in the abyss is not one of our normal 3CT crew. It is Big Mac, part of the family here, but joining us on loan from the Take 3 Wrestling podcast. You'll be able to hear this audio on both our feed and the Take 3 Wrestling podcast. But we watched Money in the Bank tonight, and we decided, you know what? There was a few things that occurred on tonight's show, so why don't we talk about them? And we're going to do that with you if you're with us in the live comments like Devin is. Share the show first off. That'll get more people in here. But get those reactions in the comments because we want to hear from you and your thoughts as we talk about the events of this evening and the big show from Toronto. But we'll start as we do normally on a Thursday night. Mike,
You all right, girl?
Yeah, man. We're here. Happy. Oh, I hear an echo. That's not good.
you're good on my end.
All right. Well, there we go. That sounds better. Happy birthday. First off, let's start there.
Thank you.
Currently en route back to my my humble abode was my father-in-law's birthday today as well. Watched the show with him. Did the birthday cake. Ate some cheeseburgers. All in all, a good day. Jim, are you all right, sir?
Oh, I'm doing real good. Had a nice dinner with my mom and stepdad at Texas Roadhouse, which is always a good time, and got to watch some wrestling. So that's always a good time. Yeah, it was a good day. 39 off to a good start. That is for sure. Thank you, Devin, for the birthday wishes. Appreciate that. And Devin points out Big Mac the first 2-time 24/7 champ, but of course that does live here. Look at the balloons. But that of course does live here in the 3CT studios. So yeah, let's there's a lot to unpack from tonight. So I think I feel like the biggest thing,
I feel like we have to address the elephant in the room. I think you got to go with the first one, right?
I mean, right, like the biggest thing has to be John Cena, Trish Stratus, the host of the 2024 Money in the Bank show. They're from Toronto. Trish Stratus brought out John Cena. John Cena came out, and really from the moment he took the screen, we knew something was afoot because he had the last time is now apparel, and it was like, I'm sorry, what was that? I missed something in the translation there. But he proceeds to tell us that he is announcing his retirement from WWE, which again, I think we all kind of went through a moment of panic, like, wait, no match, no, hold on. I didn't sign up for this today. I was here for premium live event or pay-per-view, whichever you want to call them. I did not sign up for the retirement of John Cena today. That was not on my bingo card.
I was here for some ladders, not tears.
Right. I wasn't ready. You know, we weren't ready for this.
No,
He wasn't ready. But he went on to clarify that 2025 will be his kind of retirement tour. More clarification in the post-show press conference, because he said on the Money in the Bank show that Royal Rumble will be his last, Elimination Chamber will be his last, WrestleMania will be his last, and it kind of sounded like, okay, last match, WrestleMania. He did clarify that the retirement tour of John Cena will continue through the end of 2025, but those events will be his last, you know, and then we'll obviously learn more about it. But man, it's surprising, but it's not, right? Like it's one of these things where like we knew he told us you know, last year, like, hey, not many more of these left in me. You know, there's like I'm really gonna start winding it down, but you know, it came. I mean, not to steal from one of his longtime feuds, Randy Orton. It came out of nowhere for him to come and make this announcement. But going into the last quarter of 2024, I think you know, leading off on the right foot. I mean, we know. I mean, you and Joe will be in Vegas for WrestleMania, as you've been for the past decade and a half since 2020. You know, we know those tickets go on sale before too long. So those ticket prices, hate to tell you, Mike, got a little bit more expensive tonight.
That's a buy them the day they get released. Don't wait for the secondary market, because I don't think that there's a world where the final John Cena WrestleMania is going to be anywhere cheaper than it is on day one rather than 3 days before the show.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be expensive. It was already gonna be expensive, but it just
it was going to be expensive no matter what, but I think we added a couple dollars to the budget because
couple bucks, yeah. But the initial thought kind of goes through my head, because we're going to learn more in the coming months as we get closer to 2025 what this retirement tour is going to look like and is going to be. But when you hear Rumble, last Elimination Chamber, last WrestleMania, and you know, wrapping up his career, we don't know what the match schedule, the appearance schedule, and all of that is going to look like after WrestleMania at this point. But when you think John Cena's last matches, do you picture like let's run back, you know, a Cody Rhodes, let's run back, you know, there's unfinished business with CM Punk, there's always business with Randy Orton? Or are you thinking, hey, remember that time he went face to face with Grayson Waller? Like, Mike, when you hear the end of John Cena's career, are you thinking new business to catapult WWE forward? Or are you thinking, let's wrap up these loose ends from the last 20 years?
I think it's going to be a nice mixture of the two. Okay. I think we get a CM Punk match. I think we get a final Randy Orton moment. I think we get a Cody Rhodes rematch. I wouldn't be surprised if SummerSlam 2025 is main evented. Yes, main evented by champion John Cena versus the final boss, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Yeah, that got all of a sudden got some
two nights
to it,
two nights in the middle of Minnesota. Give me one of those as the main events of one of those nights. World champion John Cena, final boss Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Shut up and take my money.
You know, that's a complicated twist on it as well, because I've said for years on this show that Cena would win number 17 before he walks away. And there's part of me, especially when you have a world title that he's never won before.
Correct.
You know, that all of a sudden feels a lot more live, brother, with what this retirement tour could be.
Absolutely. So give me all of that. Inevitably, I do think the final chapter, and this could be the guy who he inevitably drops the title to. It'd be a great stepping stone for someone along the lines of Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker wins his first world title at Survivor Series. John Cena's technically last PLE before retirement. He does the honors for Braun Breaker or somebody like that. Devin corrected me. SummerSlam is in 2026.
Good call.
I got
Devin.
my years confused. Still, John Cena versus The Rock main evented. I don't care what other alternative.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a title involved.
Yeah. But I'm okay if he has a short little 2 or 3 match run with Waller in theory. And he has a little run with Damian Priest. And he has a little moment here or two with Breaker at the end. But he also hits the Codys, the Randys, the Kevin Owens, who he had the NXT title, US title open challenge stuff with. I'm okay with the greatest hits mixed in with a little one and dones kind of thing. Honestly, the goal here to me is that he gets to 17. And I think, the funny way to say it is that he wins the Rumble and he challenges for the title that he's never won. I think that could be a lot of fun. And if there's going to be a guy, and I know he's kind of in the corner over here, put on a shelf because of some other reasons. But if I'm going to get a final John Cena run, as bad as this is going to sound, I need him to face Brock Lesnar one more time. I get it. He's over there on that. And maybe this is one of those where once we go to Netflix and once some other things kind of figure themselves out, we can address that situation. But as good as John Cena versus Brock Lesnar was, a John Cena retirement tour that doesn't have a stop in Suplex City is not one that I understand right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think the any legal clouds over the head of WWE and its former head honcho.
That stuff has to be taken care of before we enter Suplex City.
Yeah. So unfortunately, right now you're kind of in this, nothing's been litigated situation. And until it does, it's going to be weird if from a WWE in-ring product standpoint, we get a Cena retirement tour without Brock Lesnar. But right now, I got a hard time thinking that's gonna be a thing that's gonna happen. But
0.0% chance on July the 6th, 2024. But
correct.
Depending on how things happen, a May of 2025 at Backlash. I'm not saying it's not off the table. I understand that Brock's over here on the can't play well with others shelf, but
we don't look in that cabinet right now.
No, God no. There's enough, but it would be one of those things that'd feel like a miss.
Devin asked an interesting question. Should he get inducted next year because it'll be his last WrestleMania match next year, or do you wait to put John Cena in the Hall of Fame until after he's actually retired?
Is he going to be the world heavyweight champion going into WrestleMania?
That's a great question.
I say
the Royal Rumble.
Okay, so if he wins the Royal Rumble and he's not the champion going in, I say no. I say you wait a year. because he would not have broken the record yet.
That's fair.
If he goes into WrestleMania as the champion, he doesn't win the Rumble, but he wins the title at Elimination Chamber, then I think he's your headliner.
Okay.
Because he has all the records that he's going to have. There's nothing necessarily drastic that's going to change in that 7 or 8 months. I mean, here's the deal. If you have the Hall of Fame at the Sphere, I think you're going to fill it no matter who you put in the Hall of Fame class because it's the Las Vegas Sphere. I personally probably wouldn't if I was WWE. I would wait the full calendar year and do it the following year, but I'm not going to sit here and say that they're wrong.
Yeah, my first instinct is to say no, and I mean, unfortunately, you're never gonna get a WrestleMania weekend in Massachusetts,
No.
you know, where he's from. You know, he now I think resides in Florida, I believe.
He is in the Flow Rider.
So you're likely going to have a Florida WrestleMania at some point before too long. So my first gut instinct is to say no, don't do it until he's actually retired. Let him wrap up his wrestling career and then put him in the following. Kind of like the Undertaker thing. And I get the Undertaker's one was a little more complicated because of the pandemic and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But like wrap up your competitive career and then do your Hall of Fame induction. And really they should have done it with the Undertaker had only the Undertaker go in, but realize that you should have called the audible on that one and do a Cena only induction maybe. But that's kind of my gut instinct there.
Yeah, I mean, if you put Cena in there by himself, I think it works because you just give him the microphone and you just let him go. I mean, it's one of those things, as long as his career's been as integral in different things as he's been, from, you know, ruthless aggression to word life to, you know, and I think you could have a entire hour dialogue on the build to the Firefly Funhouse match and the stuff with Bray, you know, and I don't necessarily know if it was John or what, but the homage of the door on the back of the shirt that basically says, after this, you won't see me. I don't know if that was an homage to Bray or not. I'm going to think that it was, and I'm going to be okay with it because, you know, that match was one of the best things that Cena and Bray ever did. And it's, if he's paying homage to a fallen friend, then I'm never going to be anti it. So thumbs up to that. I think it's a cool shirt design. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I would let Cena be by himself because I don't necessarily know that you want to have people sit somewhere for 8 hours for a Hall of Fame induction.
Sure. Yeah. Devin points out as well, he needs to win the IC title to be a Grand Slam champion. He's never done that in his career. He says The Rock should be the headliner for the Hall of Fame. I guess he's saying next year. So yeah, maybe don't do Cena. He said, or he could be inducted in the city where he made his debut in Chicago. You're probably also, unfortunately, not going to get a Chicago WrestleMania for a very long time because I mean, I know they're building a dome stadium, but that's going to take quite a while. So it's going to be a long time before you get a Chicago WrestleMania. So I don't think you're going to hold off to do it then. Devin says, thanks, Mike. He's going to go cry even more now.
Sorry.
I didn't even make that connection. So certainly could be a lot of things at play there. But yeah, definitely big breaking news there earlier tonight with the announcement of the John Cena retirement tour. So, but let's keep plugging away, Mike, because the other really big thing out of all this was the men's Money in the Bank kicked off the show. Drew McIntyre gets the victory But and like he said on Raw last week, he said, I'm going to go to Money in the Bank. I'm going to win the briefcase. I'm going to cash in, and I'm going to walk out as World Heavyweight Champion. He completed step one in timely fashion. A good open to the show. We'll talk about the two ladder matches and which one was better in a little bit. But goes to complete step number 2. Looks like he's getting real close, and CM Punk is back and looks like he's ready to actually be able to compete in the ring. Prevents Drew McIntyre from winning. McIntyre eats the pin after the match became a triple threat, and not only did he screw Drew McIntyre, we were also reminded that there's a certain architect, if you will, that is not the biggest CM Punk fan. I think we can agree on that. Not the biggest CM Punk fan. Seth Rollins none too happy because Seth Rollins' chance at becoming World Heavyweight Champion tonight also were dashed by the return of CM Punk. First off, man, I now in the aftermath of it, I think some people were talking that Priest may have looked a little concussed, possibly. And
he didn't look all that great.
Yeah, there was something amiss. I don't necessarily want to say concussion. I'm not a doctor, but Rollins won that match. Let's be pretty clear. That referee, I thought he was going to throw his arm out, stopping that 3 count, which I hate. By the way, I call out AEW when they do it. I will call out WWE the same. Your job as a referee is to count to 3. If a guy doesn't kick out, that's on him. Your job is to count to 3. I get it. There was a lot more pieces at play. The referee made a business decision. It looked really bad in the moment. Nothing was addressed about it, so it was clearly a mistake. Let's just pretend it didn't happen.
What do we have the name of that referee?
I don't remember who the referee was in that one.
Okay,
it was one of the male referees.
I'm getting breaking news. WWE has decided to place that referee on the 60-day IL. He has to go have Tommy Wan surgery after blowing out his shoulder trying to stop that 3 count. Oof. Good God, was that bad?
Yeah, it was tough. But the reaction that I saw there was people who got it, and then there was people who didn't get it. A lot of the people who didn't get it said that this Money in the Bank briefcase was wasted. To me, it's not wasted. First off, we have seen same night cash-ins before with men and women. We have seen cash-ins not work out for people. But this continues. This continues a storyline that has been told for many months. That was a featured storyline at WrestleMania, biggest WrestleMania of all time, the Drew CM Punk thing. It calls back the Survivor Series and stuff, even when CM Punk was away from WWE. You know, the Seth Rollins CM Punk stuff. It keeps the title on Priest. He's going to be the sacrificial lamb. Excuse me. Sacrificial lamb to Gunther, likely at SummerSlam, and you don't have a transitional champion for a title that is still newish. So I thought it was really well done. I understand people are upset that, like, oh, this could have been Jey Uso's. This could have been, yeah, but like Jey Uso can also still just end up in a match. Like, he's already been in a feud with Gunther before. So him getting a title shot against Gunther, or, you know, here's just a thought in my head. Jey Uso may be busy with some other stuff over the next few months.
I definitely hit on that on the preview show. Right. When I recorded last night. I was like, maybe Jey isn't going to win because he may be very busy the back half of 2024. And we
Yeah.
didn't need another really long men's Money in the Bank briefcase.
Correct. Yeah. So I like the way they did it. It keeps things going with continuity. But your thoughts? Do you think that the men's Money in the Bank briefcase was, quote, wasted this year?
First off, Drew McIntyre picking up a ladder and yeeting it at the face of Jey Uso to lead to the finish of that match. Rough. Good God. As for the waste of a briefcase, I'm going to be on Team Big Jim here. I'm going to say no. I think the thought process that I have here is that outside of Drew McIntyre, outside of Jey Uso, outside of potentially LA Knight, I don't necessarily know.
Yeah.
There it is. I don't necessarily know that you could believe that Andrade was going to win the Money in the Bank. I don't think you could believe that Carmelo Hayes was going to win the Money in the Bank. I don't necessarily know that I live in a world where Chad Gable, even though he has, superpowers now because he's part of the Wyatts,
Correct,
or something like that. I love Chad Gable. I don't know that he's a world title picture right now. He has previous stuff with Gunther. He could just have a match with Gunther. It is what it is. The Drew McIntyre stuff worked. It worked perfectly because the men's Money in the Bank briefcase is gone for a year. We had somebody hold it for almost 300 days going into Philly. I'm okay with this one kind of being the one that we get rid of real quick because it gets it to the point where right now going into SummerSlam in Cleveland, you're getting Phil and Drew. You're getting a match that has the blood feud attached to it. I mean, watch the post after the match, after the main event. Drew McIntyre runs out to the pre-show panel. He's going nuts to the point where he starts throwing referees. He even elbows Adam Pearce in the face to the point where Wade Barrett has to grab Drew McIntyre and get him off of the stage in fear that he may lose his job over this. I think that this is going to be the build to this over the next month and a half is going to be fantastic. I think this is going to be an absolute banger. And I don't think that the Money in the Bank took a hit from this. I think that this is exactly what it needed to be. Janet Jackson, I say hello back. But I just think that when you look at the men's Money in the Bank, give me a long-term Tiffany Stratton run and a short-term Drew McIntyre run with the briefcase than the opposite.
Yeah. It is my hope, and I pointed this out during SmackDown last night about the average women's Money in the Bank briefcase time of being held. The average is 40 days. That is inflated by the fact that Io Sky held it for like 200 days or some shit like that. Because if you look at the rest of them, 6 out of the 7 were like a month or less. 5 out of the 7 were within like 2 days. So please, for the love of God, give me a long Tiffany Stratton holding that briefcase, showing up on both shows. Hell, show up back in NXT. Why not? Just like strike some fear into the NXT Women's Champion. Why not? But let her have a long time with it and hang around with it for a while. And yeah, it's just I'm fine with the way they're doing the men. The men all shined in that match. The only thing that I could say is maybe LA Knight didn't have to be in that match. Because I feel like, and don't get me wrong, I think he has a strong hand to be in that match. That's why he's there. But I feel like that dude just eats a lot of L's right now.
I was gonna say this. I was gonna say the same thing. That role could have been filled by anyone. Rey Mysterio, Santos Escobar.
There's so many strong competitors on this roster. Devin, I'm not sure what your comment means about your problem with the Money in the Bank match. If you want to clarify a little bit, I can touch on that. But yeah, it's. I think the gut reaction is because everybody wants a successful cash in, right? And I think sometimes whether the cash in, because last year, I mean, Priest had it from July until WrestleMania, and people were starting, early this year, early in 2024, people were talking about is his Money in the Bank, holding in money, is him being Mr. Money in the Bank, is this a waste because he hasn't cashed in yet? So like everybody wants a successful cash in, but you got to do it. You can't do it super quick, but you can't hold it for a long time. There's just kind of like a really weird, like instantaneous. We want instant gratification on this, but also we don't.
The men's Money in the Bank briefcase the last 2 or 3 years have felt really weird. We had Austin Theory inevitably cash in on the U.S. title. He kept it for a while because the champions weren't there. This year, Damian Priest, I was also part of the camp of, is he ever going to cash this thing in? I remember we were talking on the show a couple times leading into it, and I'm like, oh, Damian Priest is going to cash in on this pay-per-view. Nope, we should do it on this one. For like 4 months in a row, I predicted he was going to cash in the Money in the Bank and win the title, and it was going to lead to the start of the crumble of the Judgment Day. But it never happened, and I'm glad that it happened at WrestleMania because that moment was cool. But I will say, this happening the way that it happened, it fits the character development of what is going on inside the head of Drew McIntyre. This has pushed Drew McIntyre to a borderline psychotic rage that is going to get that match to an all-time fever pitch. And here's the deal. When Drew won, if he won a title to defend against CM Punk, the only title he could have won was the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, because Big Goof is already standing in line to fight for the World Heavyweight title. And he ain't beating Cody. I get it. It's Drew. It's fucking Cody. And he ain't beating fucking Cody.
No, he is. Yeah.
Bill from Chicago versus Drew McIntyre doesn't need a world title. Just like you're telling me, and I'll tell you right to your face, WrestleMania 41, night 1, night 2, night 32, I don't give a shit. Roman Reigns versus the final boss does not need a title involved.
Oh, correct. Yeah. If you're doing Roman, because we're starting to see the development of that with Solo calling himself the final boss and all of that. So we don't need a title there, because now the title is literally the title.
Correct.
And the family stuff. We no longer need Roman Reigns with that championship belt, because when he comes back, it's bigger than the belt now at this point. So
correct. And I think Drew and Punk, it's bigger than a title belt. This is personal.
I think we get the, at least how I'm thinking of it, is we're probably looking towards a Seth Punk at Mania. We're gonna get Punk and Drew at SummerSlam. That's pretty clear as of how like this night played out. There's that bigger story that they were gonna address at WrestleMania 40, but CM Punk's tricep had a different idea.
Rip.
So let's address that at WrestleMania in Las Vegas. All right. Speaking to the ladder matches, and if you have not seen the show, we've already spoiled a part of it, of course. Sami Zayn. You know what? Actually, let's address this real quick. I don't think we need to spend as much time on it as we're going to spend with the women's ladder match and stuff. But Sami Zayn defeats Braun Breaker. That, I feel like that's like the lost moment in what was a pretty wild night. Was
things that make you go,
I was you know, Triple H has done very, very good, a tremendous job since taking over. By the way, thank you for the birthday wishes, Charlie. I appreciate it. Triple H has done a very good job since taking over. There's not a lot of times that I go, sure about that? I don't. I will say this, because Triple H has done a very good job at making us react to a booking decision only to make it better or okay later. I don't understand Sami Zayn beating Braun Breaker. Like, why?
So there's two thought processes that I have. One is that he wasn't going to let every Canadian lose in Canada. Chelsea Green wasn't walking out with the briefcase, so he threw Sami Zayn a bone. Two, Braun Breaker is going to absolutely fucking annihilate him in like 8 seconds at Summerfest. It took Sami Zayn unloading the barrel, fluky, like, Braun setting up for the spear. Sami saw it coming, kicked him in the fucking face, staggered him, hit the haluva, hit the home run. The ultimate underdog from the underground prevails. I mean, it's one of those things where if they rematch at SummerSlam and that match lasts longer than 3 minutes, then I'm wholeheartedly wrong in my thought process here. But I truly believe that this is the wily veteran found a way to upset the high up tempo, I'm better than you rookie, and now the rookie has to deal with getting himself back into the equation.
Fair. All right. Money in the Bank ladder matches. The men's opened the show. The women's was the second to last match, and we'll kind of wrap up with that stuff as the close to the live show. And again, if you're with us live in the comments, it looks like there's a lot of people in here with us. Leave a comment. We'll try to address it if we can. I'm not sure if there's an issue with Twitter comments. So you can hop over Facebook.com/3CountThursday, our YouTube channel as well. You can get the comments through on there for sure. I know that for a fact. But the ladder matches, which one to you? Because I think there's a clear and easy answer on this one. But I'll lend it to you first. Which of the ladder matches did you think was better?
I vastly enjoyed the women's match more, personally. For some reason, when the ladies do these ladder matches, I don't know if it's anything more than they're just willing to do some crazy shit, but Chelsea Green getting dumped off the top of a ladder, going through tables. Lyra Valkyria doing all of her fucking fly doodle stuff. I love these women's matches. Now, were there big spots in the men's match? Yes. That move that Andrade hit, that Carmelo Hayes got 35 feet of hang time after he fell. Gable hitting the over the head belly to belly throw and dropping LaKnight on the ladder that was the bridge. Both of those were great spots. Obviously, Drew McIntyre yeeting a ladder at Jey Uso was a great spot. But for some reason, those ladies, every time they have a Money in the Bank briefcase match, they hit the home run. And I think this is another year. I thoroughly enjoyed the women's match. I didn't hate the men's match. I think I liked the women's match a little bit more.
Yeah, and real quick, like wrapping back to Drew McIntyre thing, because our old friend of the show, Bill Neville, from the old New Age Insiders, tweeted out that he doesn't like the Money in the Bank briefcase not leaving the show. Like, you have a year, make it more intriguing. I think the big difference here, and if you've been paying attention, I mean, really since over the last couple of months, but this really dates back to the pandemic. To where Drew McIntyre won the Royal Rumble, and then all of a sudden the world changes, and he has his biggest moment of his career in a performance center with nobody in the building besides the
one big fan.
One big fan. And he's been kind of, chasing that moment over the last 4 years. And every time he gets close, something bad happens. He was at Clash at the Castle, Solo Sikoa debuts. Like every time he's about to hit that pinnacle again, he gets knocked off. So now he's desperate. So his theory is, I'm going to go into Money in the Bank. I'm going to win the briefcase. I'm going to cash it in immediately because all I want is that effing title that I got in my hands and then it was taken from me at WrestleMania, and I just want it back. It is a desperate panic thing for him, and to me that makes it more logical why it's okay, because generally I kind of agree with Bill. Like, you do have a year. Like, I don't need every Money in the Bank briefcase holder to carry it for 11 and a half months, but like I also would like them to carry it for more than like 11 and a half minutes. But this one I think made sense. But anyway, I'm fully on there with you in the assessment about the women's match. I already put that match down on my growing list of matches of the year. I thought this was one of the better Money in the Bank briefcases, Money in the Bank ladder matches that I remember watching, because like some of the early ones was kind of during my time where I just didn't pay a lot of attention to wrestling. But even in like the last decade, where I've decade plus, where I've really been back and I've really been engaged. And it's a recency bias. It literally happened a couple hours ago, but like this one felt like one of the better Money in the Bank briefcase ladder matches that I've ever seen. Hats off to all of the women, man. Like there was some spots in that match where I like audibly was like, holy shit, because it just, man, there was some really gnarly spots. And I did see somebody's tweet after, that's why Chelsea doesn't like heights. And it was really, really executed well. Not that the men's wasn't. I thought the men's was again, it was a really good ladder match. I thought all 14 people that were in these car crashes were really brought their game. But yeah, the women's match, that man, I know people, and I'm not the discussion about which women's roster is better is one for a different day or stronger or whatever, because I've seen a lot of people like now with the Mercedes, and you have Britt Baker's back, and there's pieces starting to come back in the fold in AEW, and people are like, look how strong this division is. Like the WWE women's roster, we just went out and reminded us tonight how strong they are, and continue to be, and how it's not for a lot of years that it was so much was just built around the four horsewomen and who's going to be able to knock them off their platform. This was a reminder that, man, there's so much talent that isn't the four horsewomen. So hats off to the women there. Any other thoughts on any of the ladder matches?
On the ladder matches themselves, no. I think the show from the concept matches, I think both were really, really good, really, really strong. I loved both matches. Obviously, I believe the women's match was the better match. But yeah, no, I'm excited to see what Tiffy does with the briefcase, who she cashes in on potentially, and when that time could come. Those are the questions I think coming out of here that I have. But I'm excited for it.
All right, and then lastly, before we close up here for tonight, the triple threat. I understand why it's a big deal. Toyota Sequoia pins Cody Rhodes. Again, a big decision. I get there's a lot of history between the Bloodline and Cody Rhodes. So I'm not always a fan of the champion getting pinned, but I think this time it's okay. I understand that, you know, there are potentially bigger things on the horizon in terms of what the bloodline could do. I don't think it's coincidental that Bad Blood has been resurrected as a pay-per-view name coming in October to Atlanta. But and you went with the, you know, like the studio crew, Jackie Redmond, Big E, Wade Barrett. They go to the headset in the gorilla position, and Solo pretty much says, acknowledge me. So I get the how and why of what they're doing. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate that.
Thanks, bud.
This is something I definitely would hopefully like to do a little bit more often, especially with these Saturday night PLEs. Is being able to hop on and do some talking about it after them, especially if they all start at 7, which I learned at about 6:56 tonight.
I learned it 7:10. Trust me, I missed the first 10 minutes of the minutes.
Yeah, I wasn't paying the most attention, and maybe it's just like because of the birthday stuff or whatever. I was like, my brain just told me it was 8 o'clock. The WWE told us on their posters that it was that it started at 7. So, but especially if they start at 7 o'clock and we're out of the show at about 10ish, out of the press conference around 11ish, it gives us time to do these things. But the match itself, it was clunky.
Roll full copter.
It wasn't clean, and I don't know if part of, and certainly understandable, if part of some of the issues in the match was because, you know, Kevin Owens dealing with you know, his mom being sick in the hospital. You know, he said last night on SmackDown, like, she's fighting like hell. So we don't know what the situation there is. You could see on his face when he came out that you know, that there was a lot going on in his mind. There's a lot of new pieces in the WWE fold that maybe a main event spot was, I don't want to say too big, because I think that discredits where Jacob and Tama and Tonga have been in their career. But this was a big moment. And I felt like it, as the dust settles on the show and what was a wild night, I personally don't think that match was the right main event. You know, I thought you could have either gone off the air with Tiffy time on the top of the ladder, or you could have very easily gone off air with you know, CM Punk sitting on the announce table with Seth Rollins giving him the finger, Drew being a madman, and Damian Priest retaining. That triple threat just didn't, to me, kind of feel like a main event.
Well, let me. You keep saying triple threat. It was the 6-man. The triple threat should have probably main evented with
the 6-man tag.
Here's where I'm at though with that. I didn't necessarily think the match really ever got out of like second gear.
Yeah.
There was pieces of the match that felt good. There was a lot of the match that just felt clunky, and it never felt right. It felt like there was pieces of the match where you're watching it and you go, okay, Tama and Tonga, who wasn't in the match but was on the outside, maybe they're not ready for these high caliber WWE style matches just yet. Yes, they had great matches in New Japan Pro Wrestling and were part of an integral part of the tag team division and things like that. Sorry for those of you at home that are watching me try to potentially unload my car at the same time that I'm wrapping up the show. So the way I look at it, I don't necessarily think that it's the wrong call. It's the wrong call because nobody made a return tonight.
Yeah.
Rapping with just Solo standing there trying to act like he's the head of the table it wasn't it for me. It wasn't it for me tonight. Tonight felt like a night that Jimmy or Roman or somebody making a return felt like it had to be the necessary end. And it wasn't, and it felt like it just kind of was there.
Yeah. And maybe that's what it was for me as well, is because I was sitting and towards the end of the match, before like the match was actually over. Then once the match was over, like I was just waiting for this. Like I was like, come on, come on, give it to me, come on. And it just obviously never came to be. I think we will obviously get there at some point. Because but also maybe if the rumor and innuendo that the main event of SummerSlam is going to be Solo versus Cody, because now obviously Cody's been pinned by Solo Sikoa. If the rumors of that match being the main event at SummerSlam are going to be true, then I guess that they would make more sense why Roman Reigns wouldn't come back until then, because you're going to come back in reverse bloodline fashion, be the reason why Solo doesn't become the new champion.
Factual.
And that gets us on the road to Bad Blood or to Survivor Series War Games with bloodline rules or whatever the hell they're going to call it. So maybe that's why. But yeah, I just when I get to the end of a show and a night that was a really good event, I thought Money in the Bank overall was a really solid show. But man, that main event, it just, because I regardless of the match itself, which wasn't the best, to be fair, but if you get the return, I think all of that is fixed. But when I'm sitting there and I did the thing, because we know, especially in the Triple H world, just seeing that little watermark at the bottom of the screen with the credits doesn't always mean that the show's actually over. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, he's doing that's funny. He's doing the thing like we saw it at Survivor Series, and then the Punk came back. I'm just waiting. Give me the wait now. Why do I see Jackie Redmond and Big E and Bad News Barrett on my screen? And unfortunately for me, this time around, like
well, I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
There was nothing more. And that kind of sucks. It's like, if you are expecting, be like, let's go back to the first time we met in person, and I met Joe, and we had dinner at WrestleMania weekend. Mike, we went to the Cheesecake Factory. What happened tonight was that as if we would have went out and had drinks and had dinner, and then we didn't get the cheesecake at the end.
Yes.
Like taking nothing away from as delicious as the food and drinks are at Cheesecake Factory, you're not there for the pork wontons. You're not there for the burger. You are there for the cheesecake. That's the reason you come in. So I'm there to see Roman Reigns return and address and confront Solo Sikoa. And yeah, we never got there tonight. And that it left a bad taste in my mouth, man. It really did.
Even if it wasn't Roman, if it was Jimmy, I think I could have been like,
that's fair.
Okay, here's the night leading to the King coming back. Here's the first piece of the baton being assembled. But that didn't even happen. It just felt like there was an opportunity here, and we just chose not to address it. And I don't think it helped.
No, I don't think it did. I don't think it did at all. But yeah, I mean, we'll be back on the road to SummerSlam starting this week. But Mike, before we wrap it up, let the people know where they can follow you and what you're doing.
You can follow me on Twitter at They Call Me Burn. You can listen to the Take 3 Wrestling podcast. This content will go up there. It's Jim, myself, and our good friend Joe. But otherwise, Jim, I appreciate you letting me tag along for this thing. It was a lot of fun. Hopefully we can do it again coming up as we lead into the Summerfest.
Yeah, SummerSlam will be a little less than a month from now. So yeah, I know we're making preliminary plans for where and how we're going to be watching that one. So hope to jump on and do these sort of things. But for sure, stick with us. We are at 3CT. We are 3 Count Thursday, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You know what? Let me just put the thing on the screen if you're watching on the YouTubes and any of our platforms. So 3 Count Thursday, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You can get us on all podcast platforms. Like I said, our YouTube as well. We have merchandise over at TeePublic. Hit the link tree. That'll get you everywhere. But yeah, if you catch us after the fact, tweet at us, comment on Facebook. Let us know what you thought about our broadcast. Let us know what you thought letter grade wise for WWE Money in the Bank tonight. We will not have there will be content hitting the podcast feed on Tuesday. We'll be back live this Thursday night to talk about all of the fallout from Money in the Bank. But until then, stay safe, stay smart, and as always, go for the pin.